Always I can learn something from you. So I'm sure that I'm going to learn something from you on this topic as well, which is something that I have not explored much. And especially thank you for bringing this topic because many agile coaches would benefit from this topic, I feel. Let's get started with the screen sharing. I hope everybody could see my screen. In case you can't see my screen, just try to put some chat. I will be able to monitor the chat in the bigger screen I have. Okay, so this is organized by TriScrum Crew and in partnership with TriScrum Studios. As many of you know who is TriScrum, but let me try to introduce. We are a company with a strong vision, humanizing organizations, and we wanted to build organizations that is fully human and capable. When we say human and capable, we wanted to get rid of bureaucratic thinking or established thinking, and we wanted to make sure that every human in a company or every voice in the company can be heard. That's the only way to humanize organization. And we are a partner of Scrum.org, IC Agile, Pro Kanban. You can see so many communities, and we are one of the trusted brands in India. We have established that after 3 years of journey. I hope some of you are following us. Please continue to give or extend your support so that we can extend a lot of community events like this. It's my privilege to introduce our speaker Arun Vignesh, who is also associated with TriScrum. He is also a certified team coach with Scrum Alliance and also an IC Agile authorized instructor. He is also an ORIC trained coach, which is something that I have never explored. I have spoken to Arun with different moments where I get to learn a lot of things on ORSC. So this is going to be really exciting. He is also a Scrum Foundation educator with Scrum Alliance. Welcome, Arun, officially to the TriScrum webcast. I think it's time is very, I would say, valuable, which means extending your time for an hour, especially for this community event, is great. Welcome.
Thank you, Venkat. It's a little weird. So I've been on the other side most of the times hosting you. Even yesterday I hosted you. Now it's your turn. I'm a little nervous and excited as well, but yeah, I've been in good space.
Okay, so it is always fascinating to sit on the other side and listen like a student, Arun. It's not that everybody knows everything. I strongly believe in that. Okay, so before we get on to the actual session, it's going to be more of a conversation session, but let me keep expectations little short. You will be muted throughout this webinar, but I'm sure that we are going to unmute you if you have any questions. Just to avoid some background noise, initially you will be muted, but we are going to unmute you at the end of this session, or maybe during the time I'm going to be monitoring all the chats. When there is any question, I'm going to make sure I take a logical pause with Arun and put your questions to him and see how he thinks about your perspective or your question. And there is a Google Jamboard. I'm going to share this link right away on the Zoom chat. And what I would request from all of you is, please click this Jamboard link. And if you traverse on the top, there is something called questions. On the 5th panel, you can see something called questions. Keep your questions coming so that as and when the session progresses, I will be able to see what are the questions that is coming up. And I will try to logically place those questions on the right pace, or at the end we can spend some time if there are any open questions. We can have even interactive dialogues. I think it's going to take maybe 15 to 20 minutes in talking about the actual topic.
Yeah.
Right. So before even we get into this topic, Arun, I wanted to curiously ask you, I've never interacted about this topic with you. What made you think agile coaches should have ethical practices?
So it's pretty fascinating, or as you said, we call ourselves as agile coaching as a profession, right? But do we really consider it as a profession? So that's where the point of ethical things comes into place. Are we doing the right thing, right, as an agile coach? So let me take an example. So if you're a doctor or a surgeon for that matter, and you diagnose someone for a heart surgery and saying that he or she has 3 blocks, and the patient tells that, you know what, it's okay, I have 3 blocks, remove only 1 block. What would the doctor typically say? So they're going to typically say, no, we can't do that. it is not ethical to my profession because I bound by certain standards. I may risk my license, losing my license also if something happens to you, because this is life critical. I can't do that. So why I'm drawing parallel to a doctor profession is I want everyone to take agile coaching a profession similar to that. So that level of ethical standard is needed in this profession as well. At times in industries where you go and work as an agile coach, you may be bounded by your organization demands and expectations, but try to see how you are staying ethical as much as possible. At least have a courageous conversation to tell them that, you know what, this is not right. But if you want me to do, I can do it. So maybe have that conversation if you're bounded by those organizational structures as an agile coach. But as much as possible, try to uphold ethical behaviors.
Okay, that is very interesting. I will leave it to you to share your screen. I think you should be able to share your screen in case you cannot, let me know, Arun. And I'm going to monitor the chats, and I will also try to bring in some logical questions if you have then and there. Please keep your questions coming. Over to you, Arun.
Yeah, let's start with a prompt. I guess I opened up. We opened up some thoughts, some kind of a thoughts. But let me get some perspectives from the audience. People who are who joined this Jamboard, you can use the Slido number 4. You can try to go and select the 4th option, which is for the sticky. If you click the 4th option, you'll generate a sticky note. Try to put your thoughts here. What is an ethical practice?
I'll try to put the link again, those that join little late. In case you cannot access the Jamboard or you feel it's little difficult, please put your responses on the chat window. I can do post your responses on the Jamboard as well.
Okay, some I see right thing to do. Taking responsibilities on the practice. Yes. Keep them coming. Okay, I see a few thoughts coming up. I saw one more point also coming up. Okay, right thing to do. Yes, you're right. Maintaining the sanctity of coaching, but I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by sanctity. Yeah, okay, if you say not being a consultant, be a coach, yes, you're right. Holding the process rather than giving solutions. Ethical practice is honesty, being accountable, yes. So it is pretty generic. If you say workplace ethics, if you relate it to workplace ethics, it is like being respectful, being accountable to your job, what are you doing, being responsible for your job, holding the trust in the environment. So all these, keeping confidentiality, everything. So it is just the difference between what you can do versus what you have to do to be right. So that's the slightest difference that you have to be mindful of. So you can do certain things. Yes, you have the ability to do it, but is it right to do at that point in time? That differentiates the point of doing things for the sake of doing it versus doing an ethical thing. Right? That's the intent. Thanks for your thoughts. Let me go on directly to the topic, the ethical practices in Agile Coach. I'm going to list down around 6 to 7 ethical practices, and I'm going to relate some examples from my personal life or personal, not from personal life, professional experiences. The first one being confidentiality. Now let me present it. I hope you guys can see it. The first one being confidentiality and information security. I've put this as a first one because this is one of the most important thing I feel an Agile coach should be doing, because When you go as an agile coach, you would be asked to understand the health of the teams, health of the organizations, a lot of surveys you may be rolling out. So one thing is, if you're rolling out the surveys as an anonymous one, hold it like that. Even if it's your CEOs or CXOs asking for individual responses, do not reveal it. So that level of confidentiality, because that is the one that is going to start building trust within the teams or with anyone, right? So you are holding your ethical practice. That's one. Then another thing is like, if you're having one-on-one conversations with a leader, or let's take an example. You're in an organization. You're coaching a leader and his subordinate as well. So the leader in his coaching conversation may reflect something about a subordinate, his or her subordinate. So how well you're maintaining that without revealing it. That's also your confidentiality. So this confidentiality will keep you in good stead. Also, this will help you walk the talk. So that's most important for an agile coach, because that is what is gonna gain respect for you. I often say this: agile coaching or a scrum mastering is like thankless job. How do you get recognition? So when you walk the talk, it will automatically bring you the recognition. That's on the first one. Next thing is acting within your ability. So if you don't know something, you can very well say you don't know something. I'm today, in all honesty, if you ask me any questions which I don't know, I'm going to take help from Venkat or within their audiences, whatever you have. I'm going to say no. I'm not going to be shamed about telling no in a webinar. So that's one thing, one ethical thing that I'm going to be practicing here in this webinar as well. So feel free to say no. So if you don't know something, it's okay. So I've specifically put this fire extinguisher picture here because I have an example or recent life incident that that has happened. So few of my friends are running like a shop. It is like more of a KFC kind of a thing. It is like those kind of a shop where you have fryers and stuffs to cook meals. And they have a fire extinguisher. They hired a person, and during the interview, they asked the person, "Do you know how to handle this fire extinguisher?" He, in fear of if he says no, then he may not get the job. He said yes. Then he joined the job. Yes. In 4 years, there was no incident of fire in that shop. But all of a sudden, during this lockdown time, there was an incident of fire. When one of my friend asked him to go and take the extinguisher and then asked him to put it off, that's when he revealed that, you know what, by mistakenly he opened the fire extinguisher to practice it, and he didn't know that the fire extinguisher will get empty once we do that. So think of like, even if it is like a tool that you're gonna, when I draw parallel to this agile coaching, think of you go and in an interview, you say something that you know you've already practiced it. When put up in a situation, you may not be able to. It is okay to say that you don't know. Like, so acting within your ability. That's next thing. So maybe one example that I can take in my professional experience as well is like I was in an interview. I was asked to coach for a team who has to use Kanban. They were using Kanbanize as a tool. I literally never heard of that tool. I was open enough to say, you know what, I don't know. But very well, I can collaborate with your team members to see if I can learn from there. So it is okay to say no. Next thing is introspection and continuing professional development. I take the example that Venkat gave it today. So he has been most in the other end like me, giving more content, and it's nice of him to come to a workshop or a webinar to learn something. So that's what we say. You have to. It is okay even if you're learning from the juniors. Do not hesitate to learn from anyone. Do not have this is typically that we have in our culture. Probably, if you're a leader, you may think that you have to know everything than your subordinates. Leave off those thinking. That is very much important for an agile coach. You can learn from anyone, and this profession, agile coaching, it demands continuous learning. So keep in mind, continuous learning. Learn from anyone. You can learn from even the fresher, right? So let's move on. Next thing is conflict of interest. This is very crucial thing. Often people may face these kind of conflict of interest as an agile coach. You may be a leader in an organization and you have transitioned into an agile coach. You may still have some of the managerial aspects under you. Some people may be reporting to you, and you may be what do you call, rating them for their performance appraisals. And if you're also coaching them, then it is a conflict of interest, right? You as a coach should not be directly rating the person, because you're trying to help them to get better at it, but at the same time, you having all the inside information, and when you try to rate that person, then it is not ethical, right? That's another thing. Also, this is one aspect. Another thing is like, okay, you're coaching a team, and so you have a different manager for the team, yes, and the manager comes and asks you, you know what, this is performance appraisal time. Can I have some inside information about how the team is performing, how they are doing with their activities, how their productivity, and all sorts of stuff? Keep your hands clean. Do not give anything, any sort of information like that, right? Because that is a very, very high conflict of interest. Next thing is social responsibility and inclusion. So this thing, agile coaching is all about enabling people, right? So you're enabling people to get better or uncover their own potential, right? So for that, you got to be upholding certain level of safety within the team, right? If there is no safety, if you feel there is no safety in your environment, then you have to hold accountable and then try to bring in safety in the environment. Let's take an example. If someone in your team is bullying other person, often with his actions or with his background or something of that sort, it is good that you at least you have a conversation with that particular person and see what is the value that he is not upholding. That's a good way of at least upholding, at least having a courageous conversation to see, you know what, this is creating some kind of a distrust. So also probably go on to do one step ahead. You can also do some kind of a prescription. Maybe I've done this myself. I've faced a similar kind of situation. What I've done is I've asked permission from that person who was bullied and saying that, you know what, this is not only you. Do not think that I'm pointing you. This could be a natural thing to everyone. Let's have this conversation as a retrospective thing, as a generic topic. So I'm not going to take your example and going to put there. Let's have a generic topic. So that's another way of going one level above and holding the transparency and then trying to have a courageous thing, having a conversation so that you are making everyone inclusive and then having everyone heard. Even the person who is the lowest powerful person in the team is also heard, right? That's about social responsibility and inclusion. Next thing is responsibility to the profession. So this is the most often thing that comes into picture. So you as a profession, you have a lot of responsibilities as an agile coach. That maybe the guiding principles could be your agile manifesto, right? And then you may get into a tangle with a leadership conversation saying that, you know what, I want my team to, when you join as an agile coach, I want my teams to just practice all sorts of things. They just need to move from a waterfallist way of working to a scrum way of working or whatever agile way of working. They will only be focusing on the practices rather than just being an order taker or trying to execute whatever the expectations are. Try to challenge them to see what is the value that we are trying to create. So that the teams that are working under you can relate their context. There has to be a business context always related. So try to relate to that, right? That's the responsibility to the profession. The last thing, but the most important thing, why are we getting into all these kind of traps, whatever I discussed? Because we tend to miss setting up boundaries or agreeing on boundaries. Agree on a scope. It could be little, what do you call, paradoxical. You as an agile coach going and practicing value driven thing. Yes, agree on your scope. When I say agree on a scope, get a goal. Right? Get a goal. What are you there for? That's very much important. So focus towards that goal. Then what are your timelines? What are you committing to? And what are your boundaries? Whom I should be coaching, whom I should not be coaching? What is the confidentiality that should be holding up? Know all those boundaries so that you can act ethically. So as an agile coach, when you're going in an organization, start with this boundaries. It is not too late, even if you're in the middle of an assignment. Try to see, do you have any boundaries within you? Try to initiate a conversation with your leader or who's responsible for the transformation or anything like that. Another thing is this boundaries would help you is like, this is my example. In one of my assignments, I had to coach a leader. The leader never turns up to, we had set calls, the leader never turns up. The failure that I had to face is because I never agreed any boundaries. I said, okay, you give me your time whenever it is comfortable for you. He just randomly calls late in the evenings and says, let's have a conversation. I would be in a right state. I miserably failed. Then I went to do a next conversation, next assignment. I clearly ensured that I would have to set some calendar timings if I am coaching with leaders, and then stick to the timings. And if the timings, if the leader, maybe they may be having some other important work at that point in time, if they skip it, what is the backup plan? When are we going to, okay, if we skip today, when are we going to meet after that, before even the next coming up, so that you are holding them accountable as well. So that's a very important thing. Start with a contract, maybe a social contract, not necessarily you got to put a written contract, a social contract verbally, so that you can point out and say, you know what, our social contract is this. I want this to be holded so that we are focusing on the outcome. So that's all I have to say for now about the ethical practices. I'm open to hear some of the questions. We have about 15 to 20 minutes more for today's conversation.
Thanks, Arun. I think it was a very different topic. I've never come across such topics, at least in my journey, talking about ethical practices in agile coaching. I'm sure some of the agile coaches may find it useful to link in their journey as well as assignments to make their assignments or maybe their roles little effective, especially when getting into conversations with executives or leaders. Okay, I have a question that is coming up. It's an anonymous attendee's question. What is the conflict of interest we have if the manager is willing to help his team with the productivity data? Please explain from the ethics standpoint of view. So before you answer this question, just a gentle reminder, if you go to the Google Jamboard, which I've shared, the last panel is having question panel. So please try to keep your questions coming in, and you can also use the chat window to put your questions. Arun, would you like to stop sharing the screen so that we can have some interaction?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the question is on, what is the conflict of interest if the manager is really willing to help his team or her team with the productivity data?
I'm not sure what is wrong with the manager helping the team to get their productivity data. So I don't know if it is anywhere related to ethics, or if the question is around if the manager is asking you as an agile coach to come up with the productivity data, then probably you have to see if it is appropriate at that point in time to give it. If they're asking you to give, it is okay, you can help. Okay, if it is the need of the expectation is every team has to be productive, yes. There has to be some sort of a measurement has to be taken, yes. But is it right? Is it rightly done? So that's what you got to see. That's where the ethical standpoint comes into place. If they're doing something like the demand is to have one team culture, but they are taking some level of an individual performances, then probably you got to challenge them or coach them in a way that they understand that The need of the hour is one, team culture. Can we have something like productivity for a team productivity rather than individual productivity? Those sort of conversations you can have.
Okay, good. So basically, you are saying with the productivity data, it depends on the context. If the
Yeah.
leader or a manager is willing to get that data, you have to set the right expectations before even getting into the next stage. Is that what you are trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, there is another question. What part is clear or partly known thing? Can you throw some light on the part of how part of implementation? So what part is clear? These are the ethical practices. If I'm understanding this question right, Vamsi, you can put a follow-up chart if I'm understanding or interpreting your questions wrong. I think the question is more on your what part is very clear. You talked about agile ethics practices
Yeah.
and all that, but what about how part? How do we get this implemented?
Right. It's good. So again, it depends on your context. I have to say that. Let's take an example, right? So at times you may also get into gray areas when you're talking about ethical considerations. Let's take an example. You as an agile coach coaching an individual or a leader, right? So he has revealed you certain level of confidential information that you have to hold it intact. You should not be revealing it. That is your confidentiality. But let's say that person has breached some level of information security, which the organization is trying to investigate that thing, right? As an organization, the person now the organization leaders are asking you to see if I can reveal some level of information, whatever I know about him. This is what I call it as a gray area. You don't know what is the right at that point in time. Go by your context. If you're in your context saying that if you don't have any contractual obligations, like I have to reveal some kind of information problems like this, go not to reveal it. It is completely okay. But if you have certain level of contracts that you've signed that you've got to reveal, even if you're coaching someone, then probably you can. So it's again depending on the context.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question, Arun. Is it really ethical not to disclose that information if your intuition really says it's wrong?
So that's why it's a go at that point in time, as you rightly lead it there, go with your intuition. Do what is the right thing at that point in time. If it is, so that's how you got to do it.
Okay,
so you may fall into these kind of ethical dilemmas and traps. So feel free to go with your intuition.
Okay, I think you have to basically trust your intuition is what
Absolutely.
in a nutshell you're trying to say. Okay, I think did this answer your question, Vamsi? If not, please put a follow-up chart so that we can try to prod and see if this is answering your question. Then I'll go to the next question and come back if you have a follow-up question on this. Difference between professional and agile coaching. I think it's a very good question.
Professional coaching, I don't know. So you just have to, there is no context to it. Professional coaches, they may coach for your businesses or life or whatever things. They go by their ethics, driven by ICF code of ethics. They at any given point in time, they're not going to reveal any answer. So they take only stance holding the process to help the clients uncover their potential or find their solutions. Whereas agile coach, you have the liberty to go with the context. I have to go with agile coaching, the famous personality Lee Atkins books, where Lee Atkins other persons work. They've given us about this agile coaching competency framework, where they talk about as an agile coach, you've got to take multiple stances. One of the stances is professional coaching. So when you're getting into a conversation, hold that process, but you have other stances as well. So which means that you can mentor someone, you can teach someone, you can facilitate as well. So that's the difference between a professional coach and an agile coach. You have a context here of helping someone move towards agility.
Okay, basically you're saying if you go with the context in agile coaching, but with the professional coaching, you don't have any agenda or context with you.
Yeah, right.
Okay. It's an interesting question. I'm not sure how many questions we can accommodate. In the benefit of time, we will try to accommodate as much as we can, as many as we can. I'm sorry. What would be your advice in case Agile coach happens to be a manager of his team who needs to do KPI review for his team and he is the only coach in the organization?
So it's a clear case of conflict of interest, right? So that's where I said, if you could not be ethical for your profession, it is okay to quit that particular responsibility and then take a stance that, I'm going to be a manager here, not coach here. Let me quit and then do that. So that's the right way to do it.
Absolutely. I think I can recollect this with one of the incidents that I come across. A spouse is reporting to her husband, right? Her husband is a manager or a senior director on the same company. A spouse is reporting to that, and after that they get married in the same company. So what the company did was they tried to put her or move her into the different divisions because it's a clear conflict of interest. Everything is known to her. What are all the subordinates doing? What is the appraisal rating, salary increments, hikes, everything? Even though we say that we are going to hold the ethical boundaries, we can't control certain boundaries if this is going to really conflict our maybe our intentions, right? So I think this is one such case. You have to quit and take a choice, is what he's saying. Um, I think I have a couple of more questions. I will try to take this. You said you should not share your survey results, but then how do you share the rationale behind your proposed interventions? Please feel free to correct me if I understood your point wrong.
Okay. So what I meant there was, do not reveal the identity of the person. Do not give it like so you can very well you can share your survey results. That is open. But what I was referring there was more towards the identity of people. If okay, let's take an example here. So probably it again happened in my case. There was a critical feedback given by one person in one of the survey. So when I presented the results, I said there is a feedback, there is a specific feedback given like this, and we should be addressing it to the leader. Then the leader said, "May I know who this person is?" Then I had to ask this person, is it the person that is more important here? Is the context more important here? So are we solving the right thing here, or are we trying to corner the person to understand more? So that's sort of a crucial conversation you got to have. That is the context I was trying to say. If they are asking the identity of the people, do not share it, but very well you can share the service.
Okay, I think I'm just looking at the time. It's 7:05, so we have a few minutes. Let's try to take one or two more questions if possible. Can you share a real-time example demonstrating ethical practice while coaching in your experience?
I don't know what example to give it all of a sudden. Maybe one thing I can, a recent coaching assignment, what happened was that I went into a coaching assignment. It was more of a 2-month coaching assignment for a large organization. Venkat also knows about it. So we agreed on certain goals. When we went there, we proposed so many things. They said, this can't be done here, this can't be done there. We have done so much work of conducting surveys, interviews, and we touched so many people. When we proposed the changes, they said, we can't do this, we can't do that. We said, we don't think we are of any help here. Let's terminate the contract. Tell us when you're ready. See, I've given observations. When we have to focus on these observations, this is the utmost priority. So we had to terminate our contract and come out prematurely. So that is one of the ethical behavior we feel that we have done it. So it is like the client and yourself has the coaching assignment that you're going to have. It has to be valuable for the client as well as you. So we felt that it is not valuable. It is only monetary benefit that is we are going to getting it. If you're extending the contract, then let's terminate it. So we literally terminated it, and then we came out of it. You can add some points on that, Venkat, if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this. I think you added pretty much the points that we were discussing. I think we just came out saying that we are not so useful for you. Okay, I can accommodate one or two questions, not more than that in the benefit of time. I think I'm new to applying agile methodologies in my project management world. I need to be fully aware of that as my profession. I'm not sure if this is a question. I think it is more of an ask. Anand, I would I would request you to explore something called agile coaching as a profession. If you go to, let's take an example, icagile.com. That is one of the boards that put across some good definitions on agile coaching. I would request you to take a look at icagile.com. They have got a lot of tracks. Somebody who's wanting to move towards agile ways of working. They have a specific track for your role as well. It is worth exploring, Anand. I will go to the last question. What stance do you we need to take as an agile coach if the leader is expecting you to coordinate instead of empowering multiple teams working for a single product in the context of ethics?
Maybe I'll have to relate this to responsibility of the profession as an ethics. So you as an agile coach, you're there to you help them collaborate or self-organize themselves. You can coordinate to an extent, but if the coordination itself is in our utmost job, then probably you're not upholding your responsibility or an accountability there. So probably you can set that expectation right. See, you know what? As an agile coach, I have to be help them collaborate better rather than I coordinating it. You can do 1 or 2 times, but if it's becoming a pattern, probably you got to be taking a hard stand. That is not I'm here for.
Okay, so I have this follow-up question. So it looks you're saying if we really hold ethics too strongly, I don't think we will survive in any companies. That is how it is looking to me now,
So
right?
that's where I said we get into the trap because of this. We think we cannot survive if we uphold ethics. That's why at the start of the session itself, I drew parallel to the doctor as a profession. So if every that's this is a very simple reason that most of the agile transitions or transformation are going or derailing. So we're not holding the right thing or not doing the right thing is the major cause of concern for major transitions going to rail. So yeah, uphold it. And again, as I say, there is no standard body to say that you've got to hold these ethics. That is also another reason that we have this conversation of, do we really need to have ethics? Probably we have, this has been started about 10 years into this profession and maybe agile coaching. Probably over time, this will become a standard. A body may come, a few people may join hands, and then a body of control may come, and then they may give us some set of ethical standards as well. For now, I know for a fact that we have some sort of ethics in Agile Alliance. You can feel free to go and visit that and know more about it as well.
Okay, I think in my whole years of experience working as an agile coach in different companies, I'm one of the evidences. I would say only in 3 companies I was able to be fully transparent and ethical with my behaviors. It takes a lot of time, and especially when you have financial commitments, when you have EMI commitments to pay. You walk down to somebody, the moment you are almost near to the person, your EMI is going to come and prod you saying that, would you really like to go ahead and say something, or would you like to step back and look after your financial commitments? So financial freedom is one of the important ingredients if you want to act very ethically. What is wrong and what is right to you in your organizations is my experience when I was working as an agile coach.
Yeah.
Okay, I can take another question. I have only 5 minutes. I don't see any questions that is opened. That is still open. If you guys want to ask any more questions on agile coaching and ethics, please feel free to ask. So while we get some questions, I would also like to understand something that you spoke about, conflict of interest, and that is little. Okay, let me tell you. So I will always have dilemma whether I should do A or I should do B. Sometimes my intuitions will confuse me, right? My intuition will say in the evening go with A, and in the morning it says B. So in that situation, how do you recommend? And do you have any approach that you recommend?
I'm being honest. I've also been in the situation you got to take a step back and take some more time to decide. So maybe what patterns that is emerging, what are you driving towards over time, may help you see, okay, this is what I wanted. If it's rapidly changing, I would caution you not to take a decision at that point in time. Yeah.
Okay. There is a question. Do you coach people individually? I think it's a
Uh, I don't know. So if it's profession, when we get into leadership engagements, we do coach leaders individually. Yes. If that is the context that you're asked for.
okay. If the
Uh,
context is that, Anand, yes, we do individual coaching, is what he is saying. If the context is, Arun, will you coach me as an individual?
okay.
I think if that is the question, what
I,
would, yeah, is that's the question he is asking. Will you coach him individually if he needs?
no, we'll honestly, with our bandwidth, with being just two people in TriScrum, we hope we do so many activities. We wish to do it. I personally asked Venkat to coach me personally. He says, "You can't. I can't. I don't have time." Um, that's the answer. We wish to do it. I'm even asking time from Venkat to coach me individually, but even mentor me. So short answer is because of so many commitments, we couldn't.
Yeah, I don't see any questions open. I think we answered almost all the questions. If there are no questions, maybe I will try to save a few minutes. That is 2 minutes of everybody's time. Okay, there's a last question, Arun. Would you like to try how to train people in Agile?
Okay, maybe shameless pitch. Send nomination to us to our trainings. You can explore triscrum.com/public events.
That's a marketing pitch, but would you like to answer something to Sonali so that it is useful?
Okay, professionally find a not us. Find a professional who is good who has implemented these practices. Try and see if they would be of any help to help people train. That's the direction I would go to. Try to find experts, not just us. There are so many people across the globe that you can go and figure out.
Okay. So he's saying try to find somebody who's an expert. In my view, just to add, expert in, we mean the person is not expert in agility, but the person knows how to handle difficult situations. Because I've seen so many agile coaches when they go and train people, one or two project managers, or I don't want to target project managers audience, but just taking an example, they sit as an audience and just try to criticize. You are all saying this new jargons and old wine in a new bottle, right? If you don't respond to that question, it means you are lowering your credibility in front of everybody. So to deal with such kind of difficult situation, it is always recommended to get trained by expert because they handle those questions very gracefully. At the same time, they try to make them understand it is old wine in a new bottle. Yes, to some extent, but we are trying to rejuvenate, or we are trying to resurrect old thinking in new ways of working, or in the new age of working, right? So there are so many things we need to handle in order to train people in agility or agile ways of working. All right, so that said, I think we are almost coming to an end. I would like to thank you guys for your time. I hope you enjoyed this conversations. We will look forward to seeing you in another webcast with useful information. Thank you guys.